Why do some people always feel out of place, even in familiar rooms? Is it discomfort, quiet anxiety, subtle social pressure, or something deeper in the brain shaping that feeling? And what most people don't realize is that this feeling isn't random. It follows surprisingly consistent psychological patterns. If you've ever walked into a gathering and immediately felt like you didn't quite belong, you're not alone. Some people describe feeling slightly misaligned in conversations, workplaces, or even family settings. This is more common than most realize, especially among introspective or emotionally perceptive individuals. Feeling out of place doesn't mean something is wrong. It often means the brain is processing the world a little differently. Understanding why can be deeply relieving. And here's where it starts to get interesting. The psychological traits behind always feeling out of place tend to cluster around sensitivity, depth, and self-awareness. One common trait is high emotional attunement. Some people naturally pick up on subtle social cues, tone shifts, body language, unspoken expectations. In everyday life, this can feel like constantly noticing what others overlook. While this awareness can be a strength, it can also make environments feel overwhelming or slightly off balance, especially when social dynamics feel forced or inauthentic. Another trait is strong internal orientation. These individuals spend a lot of time in their inner world, thinking, reflecting, analyzing. In group settings that prioritize quick reactions or surface-level interaction, they may feel out of sync. It's not that they don't care about others, it's that their processing speed and depth operate on a different rhythm. Conversations might feel rushed or emotionally shallow, leaving them feeling disconnected even while participating. A third trait is value-driven identity. Some people place a high importance on authenticity and alignment with their values. When they sense a mismatch between who they are and the environment they're in, whether it's a workplace culture, social norm, or expectation, they feel that misalignment internally. This can show up as a persistent sense of not quite fitting, even if they're outwardly accepted. Finally, many of these individuals have a strong observer mindset. Instead of automatically blending in, they often step back and watch. They may notice group dynamics before joining or question unwritten rules others follow instinctively. In daily life, this can look like feeling slightly outside the circle. Not excluded, but not fully immersed either. But personality is only part of the story. There's something happening beneath the surface. What's happening in the brain helps explain why this feeling can be so persistent. Research shows that some brains have a more reactive threat detection system, particularly in areas like the amygdala. This doesn't mean constant fear. It means the brain is more alert to potential social uncertainty. When entering new or unpredictable environments, the brain may subtly signal caution, creating that sense of being out of place. Another factor involves dopamine, a neurotransmitter linked to motivation and reward. For some people, dopamine responds more strongly to internal rewards, ideas, insights, meaning, than to external social stimulation. This means that loud or fast-paced or highly performative environments may feel less rewarding neurologically, even if they're socially normal. The default mode network, a brain system active during introspection and self-referential thinking, also tends to be more active in introspective individuals. When this network is highly engaged, people are more aware of themselves within a context. That heightened self-awareness can amplify the feeling of being different, especially in social situations where blending in is expected. Genetics can play a role too. Studies indicate that sensitivity and social processing styles often run in families. Some nervous systems are simply wired to process more information at once. It's like having a high-definition camera in a low-resolution world. You're not malfunctioning, you're just picking up more detail. And yet, biology doesn't act alone. Environment shapes how all of this feels. The role of environment and experience is crucial. Many people who feel out of place grew up in settings where they felt subtly different, emotionally, intellectually, or culturally. Even small experiences, like being misunderstood or overlooked, can teach the brain to stay on guard in social contexts. Cultural expectations also matter. Some societies reward assertiveness, speed, and constant social engagement. Individuals who are naturally reflective or selective may feel misaligned with these norms, even though their traits are equally valuable. Over time, repeated exposure to environments that don't match one's temperament reinforces the sense of not belonging. Social conditioning plays a role too. If someone learned early on that fitting in required masking parts of themselves, they may grow accustomed to feeling slightly detached. That detachment becomes familiar, even expected. The brain learns, I'm present, but not fully seen. It's important to recognize that these patterns are adaptive responses. They develop to protect authenticity, emotional safety, or cognitive space. Feeling out of place isn't a failure. It's often feedback from the environment. But when does this shift from a trait to something that needs attention? When does this become a concern? Feeling out of place is a normal human experience, especially for sensitive or introspective people. However, it's important to recognize when it starts limiting life. If the feeling leads to chronic isolation, persistent sadness, or anxiety that interferes with work or relationships, it may signal the need for support. It becomes more concerning when someone avoids all connection out of fear, or when self-blame replaces curiosity. Therapy or counseling isn't about fixing a flaw, it's about understanding patterns and learning how to navigate the world with more ease. Professional support can help people feel grounded without losing who they are. So here's the takeaway. Always feeling out of place is often shaped by personality traits like sensitivity and depth, by brain wiring that processes the world intensely, and by environments that may not fully align with who someone is. Understanding the psychology behind it helps people realize they're not broken. They're wired differently. And that's okay. If you recognize yourself in this, you're not alone. Share your experience in the comments. And for more psychology content that helps you understand yourself better, consider subscribing.